Well, you look the part, but let's see some of your moves.
Feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carpet nights off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, told me get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy. The current night is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading.
Come on, nothing more than that music can put you in a good mood on a Wednesday.
Who the heck is that guy?
He's missing Celebration, is what I saw on his feed.
Yep, that's me.
I know Celebration is so exciting, and if you look at it, and you have those flashbacks sometime, and you're just like, oh man, I just wish I was standing in a line with 1,000 people I don't know, and it's still better than what's happening right now.
You betcha, that's for sure.
So happy Wednesday. Any updates before we get into anything? Kevin is here.
Hello.
Kevin, have you never saw our intro before? That's us trying to be professional. Wait till you see the outro.
Yeah, stay to the end.
Stay till the end. We're trying to keep it around an hour. We've been doing good. Oh, echo from me?
I think so.
Hang on, let me turn my headphones down. Echo now?
Or is that echo for me?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah, you're still an echo.
Hang on a sec. Now?
Maybe. Yep.
Is it me?
No, because it's coming. Well, we all have headphones.
Yeah, because there's no echo from Mike. It's only from me and you, Ken.
Well, Ken, what you have to say is twice as important.
Let me see if I can undo all of it.
We were all happy with Ken's equipment working well. Oh, John.
Nice.
I picked that up from Marty when we were at JapaCon. While Ken works on his thing, I'll talk a little bit about JapaCon. It was a flea market that they held a convention, so it was free, like to enter, and tables were $20 a table or something like that. So I rented like 3 tables, and we sold a whole bunch of crap. So, but it was fun. There was like 2 people in costume the whole day. What are you doing?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Were you the echo?
I don't think so. I can hear myself.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice if one of it. That's what I miss having Colin when we did CreatorCast, because Colin he went to college for sound engineering, and so he would always make sure our sound was perfect. So. Just trying to see. Okay, so we're on. I'm just making sure I don't have any other windows open with it on. Could be that one. Let's see. I don't know. There we go. But yeah, so Kevin, thank you for our Kevin. Where are you from? Or if it's a Kevin we know or a Kevin we don't know. Sounds good to me, but we can't see you. Oh,
are you guys hearing anything at all from me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Any echo?
Is
Yes.
it?
It's always John that gets the echo.
Wait.
No, it has to be one of us but I have my both, like a lot of times I'll have one earbud in and that picks up the echo. I unplug the secondary set.
Can you hear him now?
I
I am saying things.
I
I
can
am talking. I am talking. I am talking.
oh up to
I
Kevin.
am talking. I am talking.
I can hear Ken, I can't hear John.
I am still talking. I am still talking.
hear me,
I am
Ken?
still talking.
Okay. Not me.
Okay, I hear you, John. I don't think Ken hears us.
Ken?
Yeah, I can't hear Mike, and I guess you guys can't hear me.
I can hear you.
I can hear you, Ken.
Yeah, I can't hear Mike. Can you hear Mike?
I can hear both of you guys.
That's so weird.
Just make up stuff that I
I'll
said.
just start over. See you soon.
Okay, well, while he's starting over, Kevin is from upstate New York, so all right, cool. So, did you troop this weekend, John?
I did not. Yeah, I haven't done really anything.
Yeah, I was doing plumbing. Doing normal stuff really sucks. You know, like I just was like, I walk out of my garage to get like the stuff to do the plumbing, and I'm like, I see helmets sitting there, and I see my armor there, and I'm like, oh, this stuff really sucks. I got to get back to doing Star Wars stuff. But I did. Well, I think your dad and Marty are talking about his AT-AT or something like that, or something.
Yeah.
Because Marty had that AT-AT and that Falcon, and the boxes were all jacked up. And then he braved to take them out, and they're like everything's pristine. Like the Falcon, the plastic bag wasn't even opened yet. You know, and he could have probably sold it because the guy was going to buy it, but he was afraid the stickers weren't going to be good. And
well, yeah, because those would have been 90. This would be 98.
yeah,
When those came out.
I don't know when they came out. The AT-AT was cool because it had never been assembled. Like, so everything was like the legs were still loose and the door was never put on, and it had that little hologram with the two dudes. I have one of those open.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we've got two of them open. Well, we've got one that we bought sealed back when I was high.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's out of the box so I can play with it. But the box is still in perfect shape.
Well, I was trying to explain to a guy at the show because he was asking about the original ones. And when you look at the original ones, the price isn't as high as you would think it would be from the 78 ones. Because I was explaining to him, you can't tell if they're original because everything was just thrown in a loose box. And then if you were lucky, there was one piece of tape holding it shut. Oh, John has a double voice.
Yeah, I think the echo's coming from your side.
How's that? Hang on, let me check. All right, let's see. We need like Kevin to sign in and just tell us what's. I'm gonna check my.
If you go into your settings, like on Restream under audio, is echo cancellation and noise suppression check?
Let me see. I have audio. Everything is checked. Oh, wait a minute. Built-in line. Yeah, but here's what. I wonder if my audio is too sensitive. Is it echoing now? That's my question.
Yes. I think it might be the mixing board.
Don't be picking on my little baby mixing board.
I'm sorry, but when you moved the mic, it had zero effect on it.
Well, then that means, you know what that means? I wonder if I'm even running it through the board. Because our power went out, and it could have kicked it back to factory settings. Because we didn't have echo last week. Or we just didn't care. Either way.
No, I can't talk when there's an echo.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
I always do something.
Input. Is there an echo now? Now, can you hear me?
Nope, no echo.
So now I just turned my mix. It is the mixing board. I just turned the mixing board off. I'm just going to use the Max microphone.
Yeah, and it still sounds fine too. So
Good. There we go. Problem solved. Poor Ken's like soldering stuff, and
I'll shoot him a message real quick.
Yeah, just tell him to jump in. So Kevin, do you have any Star Wars costumes? Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, did you troop at all, or was it just plumbing?
Just I was just selling, but I didn't troop at all. I like I said, I started this bathroom, and I thought this will take one day, and lo and behold, it took 2.5 days. You know,
it's never just one day, is it?
I know. I knew in my head, I was like, if it takes one day, everything's going to be perfect. Ken says no video feed on his. Oh, there it is. Come on, Ken.
Let's see what happens.
Now, how do I sound?
You sound perfect on my side.
I turned my mixing board completely off. I'm not using my mic. I'm just going to have this mic for looks, so I feel like a podcaster. But, I'm just using the Max audio.
Well, it's so nice to be on my first ever podcast with you guys.
Yes. When was your first podcast?
February 2020.
How about you, John?
The first one that I'm willing to admit was May of 2020.
Oh, come on. What's the one you're not willing to admit?
I did a podcast back in 2017 with a friend from high school.
Is this going to be on the Patreon?
How are we just learning about this now?
Is this going to be on the Patreon level of the Beskar Bucket?
No, those will never see the light of day again.
Come on.
So,
I did for school. I did some in 2005, 2006 when I used to teach podcasting. But we had nowhere to host them back then. There was all this equipment that went with the Max. Came out with to do podcasting, but it was nearly impossible to host. So,
luckily now it's super easy. Ish.
Oh, no.
All things considered, it's easy.
Yes, in comparison, that is for sure.
Well, even since Ken started or since Zoe started, it's remarkably easy. It's easy to do the mechanics part of it.
Yes, being successful and doing it well are different.
Well, and then how do you measure success? Like I think if you've been a guest on the Georgies, then you've hit success.
You've made it.
You've made it somewhere. That is for sure.
Oh, E-Girl's on too. Hi, E-Girl. Yeah,
we got Kevin and E-Girl tonight.
If you're on the Georgies, I would class you as up and comer, right? Up and comer. And then I think if you've been on stage on a con, you're almost there.
Huh.
Right?
All right.
So that's all three of us, right?
That's all three of us.
Yeah,
We're
all three of us.
Well, and we've interviewed people who've done things.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're on the map.
Well, I think part of the fun of podcasting is you can feel self-important, but not be a jerk about it.
Yeah.
You know, like we can act like we feel like know what we're doing, and there's hundreds of people, and we know, you know, and we enjoy every single person that listens to it. We know we're doing. You know.
Well, the fact that some folks like E-Girl or Kevin are willing to come back, you know, after listening to us ever, that I'll count that as a win in many, many ways.
Yes. So, but yeah, I didn't do much Star Wars. Like I said, I have all those blaster rifles sitting there ready to be sanded. And, you know, and I know tomorrow when I go out to work on stuff, I'm going to look at that long grass and I'm going to be like, I got to move my grass now.
You could just leave it long because you're contributing to the environment.
Yeah, I don't think my HOA would like that.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah, the only Star Wars adjacent thing that I did this week was I played with some water slide decals. Do you know what those are?
Yeah. No, wait a minute. That go on. Wait a minute. That go on a water slide.
No, not quite.
Are
They're,
they like tattoos?
kind of, yes. So I was putting together a little cavalry of characters of some of my friends in
Nice.
Lego, but it was one of those things where it's like, I can't have all of my costumes in Lego because they simply don't make the right officer's uniform. So I made one for myself.
Nice.
For yourself, of yourself?
Yep.
So, yeah, they're
But-
like the old model kit kind of things.
Like bashing, kit bashing.
Yeah. So, but the reason I knew about water slide decals was because a couple years ago I wanted to make a custom steel book.
Okay.
So I picked up a pack for both the Lego minifigure and I wanted to make a Revenge of the Sith steel book. So that's the closest I've gotten to doing Star Wars-esque things this week.
Oh, wait a minute. They're the ones you got to put in water and slide them on. Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, just like they were in the old model kits, I
Every
think.
model kit when we were kids, that's all they had.
Really?
Yeah.
All they had.
Well, I keep forgetting that John's like 2 decades younger than both of us. I forgot.
Half the models I had, like I'd have a Z28 with Z28 on it. Whatever side came out right, that's the way you faced it on your shelf.
Yep.
You flipped it around. Like, between the water decals and getting glue on the windshield, I had
No, on the headlights.
yeah. I had all kinds of like Camaros and Trans Ams that I just didn't put the windshields in because I got glue all over them. Like, so.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to go to a troop this past weekend. Heather Squired, which was absolutely fantastic. It was at the Mann Theater in Philadelphia. It was a showing of The Force Awakens with a live orchestra, and it was absolutely, positively incredible. Absolutely incredible. It was because it was a Star Wars event. I mean, people were coming in all sorts of Star Wars T-shirts and jackets and jerseys, and you had kids coming in their like pajama costumes with the flat front masks, and I think I was hugged around the knee maybe 6 times unexpectedly, and this one little kid came in a Darth Vader costume, and their face absolutely positively just beamed, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing. The folks that were there in costume were glorious. The people that were there as squires were helping each other out and switching sides from taking pictures with Chewbacca to taking pictures with the Mandalorians and asking if everybody. It was hands down amazing. And then when you get to the performance, the music was louder than the movie was, so you had to pay a different kind of attention to the movie, and at the same time you were able to not pay attention to the movie and then just enjoy the music because it was so loud and crisp, and it was right there on stage in front of you.
Nice.
It was awesome. I'm still goosebumping now just thinking about it.
Now, is the Man like an older building?
No, it's an outdoor theater.
Oh no, okay. Then I did Return of the Jedi there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now that is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, and the folks who organized it were incredible. They gave us so there's seats that are under like canopy, and then there are lawn seats, and there was a threat of rain, and they said we're still going to play the movie, and we've given you seats in the canopied section.
Yeah.
And they were taking pictures of us and with us and for us. There was a couple times where they were just milling about, and I would ask one of them to take a picture of a family because they were coming up and they wanted to get in the picture. No one was around at that moment to take the picture because the handler was doing so. It was amazing, like absolutely amazing. I would do a troop like that every day if possible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's the troops. I think we've done so many cons lately that you forget what a good troop is. Not that cons aren't any good, but cons can, they can be very tiring. So.
Yeah, Ken, I would trade you in a heartbeat for my live in concert this year. Not because it was a bad troop, but I just would have loved to be trooping the Force Awakens in Kylo Ren.
Well, it'll probably be coming around to you, I bet.
Probably, if not next year, because next year the theater around us that does it said they're doing Empire.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then they said probably in 25 it'll be the Force Awakens for the 10th anniversary.
Well, there's an old theater in Middletown, Delaware that's doing unrelated but kind of related to Star Wars. They're doing a showing of American Graffiti.
Oh, that would be fun.
Wow.
So in the chat, I sent you 2 pictures that were from the show.
Oh, in the Facebook chat?
Yeah, in the Facebook chat, because I don't want to risk sharing my screen and mucking things up.
Yeah, well, I also see that Kevin mentioned he doesn't have any costumes, but he'd like to try Star Wars jeans guy or Running of the Hoods.
Oh, it's fun because one of the pictures has a kid dressed like Wilro.
Nice. Yeah, well, the Wilro, I tell you, the ice cream maker is becoming more and more,
It's hard to find.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying like that Wilro hood, because of the Mandalorian, has become a more recognizable costume. Because of the Cantono or whatever it's called. So, or you could become the prisoners from Andor.
The Narkina 5 prisoners.
Yes. So, cool. Yeah, that sounds like a good troop. The Man Center is really nice. I think who was Chewie?
It was a new guy. Just got approved within the last month or so.
Nice.
And unfortunately, I apologize, Chewie, if you're listening. I've forgotten his name. I want to say it was John, but I'm not 100% sure.
That's cool.
But
yeah.
I mean, everyone that was there. There was, 2 people from the Mercs, some people from the Rebel Legion or Galactic Academy, and a handful from the 501st. I mean, there wasn't a ton of us.
Yeah.
But there was enough to A, be a presence, and B, just get along so well together. I mean, the Chewie was hanging out with stormtroopers and allowing the Mandos to be. It was just, it flowed so well.
I went and did the Squire for Dan and Marty, because they were in through the droid builders, and we brought Dan a lot of work. He's a little more work than Safi because he's less mobile than Safi is. So. Cool. Yeah, I got a treat.
And I even made it up on the Man Center's Facebook page.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was really cool.
They're open invites. So they're Lucasfilm events. So all the groups get those invites.
So what is our costume club going to be named when we start one?
Inflatable Falcon.
Okay, just making sure.
Just keep the brand, I mean, because that's where you have Dark Empire, you have an enormous amount of Jedi groups. Like, I can't keep track. I know there's Saber Guild, but then there's
the Capital City Jedi and the New York Jedi that don't even spell it with a J.
Yeah. There's and then the only one that's a little weird is the Galactic Academy, because that's technically not a costuming group, and for years everyone keeps trying to make it a costuming group, and just with when a majority of your people are underage, it's you got to be super careful with that, because at one point they were worried that some people were thinking they could just drop their kids off in costume at an event.
Just be gone.
Like, yeah, oh, here, my little boy, he wants to play young Luke. See you guys later. See you in 6 hours. So
we're gonna go stand in line to get autographs with the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. So, but that's cool. Well,
maybe we should have E-Girl help us with some video editing.
Yeah, right. I know. I see when I taught film at the middle school level, because we had to teach for a couple of years. I wanted to teach a reading and writing course, and so I said, well, look, I'll teach film I'll teach script and writing and filming, and I had so many kids sign up, and we used to do awesome scripts. But back then we all had Macs, so I could teach kids how to do editing in iMovie and stuff like that. But now you almost have to have Adobe. Is what most places want, a knowledge of Adobe, so, which isn't bad. It's just
Man, iMovie was such a great thing.
I still use it. I mean, it's not as good as it was, but it's still pretty decent. I mean, the newer version is I use that a lot of times to just throw TikToks together and stuff like that. The only problem with iMovie that I've found in general is if your machine gets full, if you don't have that 25% of your hard drive empty, it'll crash.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's a real thing.
Yeah, because what made the Mac so successful was they would borrow hard drive space to run a lot of their programs. So where you had a PC that had to have this super strong microprocessor and all this to do all this video editing, the Mac would just borrow space. I don't know the technical, but that's why you could do back in the day. What you could do in iMovie, people couldn't even touch with just out of the box PC.
Looks like I'm gonna have to get an external hard drive then and start putting stuff on that.
Yeah. Well, it'll just make it crash. It's like having a Cricut. When I was one of the few people that had Macs and people would give me film, hey, can you edit this? I'd throw it together real quick and it came out beautiful. And they're like, this is the greatest thing ever. And when you have a Cricut, you're printing off people's stuff. And they're like, wow, how can you do this miraculous stuff? And then they buy a Cricut and they're like, you faker.
Not 3D printing yet, though. 3D printing still seems to be in that new age, like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, there was at the place that had JapaCon, there was a guy who you could rent a store space, a 10x10 space, like guys that were there all the time for like $300 a month. It was a boxed in room, and all he did was sell 3D prints.
Really?
Unfinished, not a single one finished. It would just be like, here's the Plexi Dragon printed in different filament, $35.
Jesus.
That's all he did was 3D print stuff with weird filament.
A whole $1.50 worth of filament, $35.
I had what's the skull from Fallout? I forget what the creature is, but I printed one for Sappy, too big. It was humongous. So I had it at my table for $25, and he about had a fit. Someone bought it, but
Well, I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
So how was JapaCon? Let's.
Yeah, and it was cool. It was a flea market that had a con theme. They were supposed to have the Batmobile, or no, the Knight Rider, and it rained, so the Knight Rider guy wouldn't bring his car. So, but it was free, so no one could get mad,
Right.
But there was a lot of traffic because it had its regulars that came to the flea market every because there's nothing around in Joppa, Maryland. There's nothing. It's like out in the sticks, and that's like everyone came there, and then you had the con goers. So we did really well. Like we blew through a lot of stuff because I went with the entire minivan filled with stuff. I left with 3.5 boxes.
Wow.
So
I would say that's mission successful. Then you said you wanted to leave with less than you came with.
Yep. So there's a
Well, he didn't say he didn't buy anything. I didn't hear him talk about that yet.
well, no, this is the only thing I bartered. I bartered for this. So Marty gave me this for what he owed me for the table. So
I think Marty made out.
Is that a plush or is that looks inflatable?
The backpack. It's a plush too.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
plushy
And you can take them out and it all goes together. But you can unzip and basically put your wallet in there. Like this entire backpack. But
2 car keys.
But if you had if I had a Chewy hoodie and wore that would just be a pretty cool. Except the 3PO head's on wrong because it's facing forward. It should be facing backwards. Because his head's on backwards in the
Right.
in Empire. So, all right, let's talk about our topic was really bad. I blame Ken. No, I blame John. Our topic was from our Palpatine book.
So should you tell him, John, or should I tell him?
Tell me what.
I didn't do the homework.
I didn't do the homework either.
I didn't either. I assume, when I saw that the gallery came out today, I'm like, okay, well, I got to divert my energy to that because I would assume that that's what we were going to talk about.
Well, I didn't watch the gallery. Did you guys both watch it?
Yes, we watched the
Yes!
gallery.
The first new content we've had in like 2 months.
I know. Well, I was finishing up plumbing. I wanted to take a shower.
And the worst part is that's why I was late because I was finishing up the episode.
Well, I watched the Marvel thing, the Secret
Invasion.
Invasion.
Yep,
I
it
think
exists.
that's something I think I probably should just wait and watch it all at the end.
I was watching it this morning and I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, this is because I love the genre, I love the characters,
Yeah.
love Ben Mendelsohn. However, it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like it's all gonna make sense at the end, but right now I'm sitting there like, oh my god, what is even happening?
It feels like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There was certain beginning of that where they were setting it up.
Mm-hmm.
And those I cared a little more about.
See, even Kevin thought we were going to talk.
We can discuss. See, all I know is some friends of mine's pictures were in there, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll never get you on the show now. Because they were in the gallery now, so I'll never get them on the show.
Who's in the gallery? Chris.
Some of the guys that do the paint work and stuff. They're I was like, well, I actually just messaged Judah. I was like, I'll never get you on the show now because I've been trying to get him on Zoe's show, but I have to go through Lucasfilm to get him on the show.
So we can talk about it without spoiling it.
It's not gonna ruin it for me. You guys talk and I will chime in. We have 30 minutes to fill. We can do it.
So I'll talk about my disappointment first. It's just one episode. It's
just one episode. Oh,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. When I saw it dropped, I was like, I thought I was gonna have to commit to a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's my one and only disappointment because you both know how I'm a geek for the behind the scenes stuff, and they tease so many things that could have been an episode all by themselves. So that's my one and only complaint, if you can even call it a complaint. But everything in there was fantastic. They did a whole bit about Phil Tippett and his contributions to season 3 of The Mandalorian. If you're not familiar with his contributions, do you remember the episode where they were in the mines of Mandalore and there was that like spidery creature robot kind of thing? That's all from Phil Tippett's imagination and his crew, and they used models and scanned the models and used those in the volume filmography or whatever it's called. That could have been, an hour episode all by itself. It was awesome to know that Phil Tippett, a guy who was involved in the Dejeric chess table from 1976, 77, is still doing stuff with Lucasfilm today in 2023. It's awesome.
Yeah, before we stray too far, I feel like with these galleries, I feel like we are getting less and less and less as Disney Plus grows and moves on. Because remember, for season 1 of The Mandalorian, we got 8 episodes for the behind the scenes.
Yep.
Well, and I also think I think Disney Plus, like Disney did the right thing by making Disney Plus, but I also think there was those naysayers because Disney Plus basically they moved so much content to they had to worry if The Mandalorian didn't make it. All these people, like all the Star Wars fans, had all the content already on DVD and Blu-ray and VHS, and they had to, like, how can we get these people to stay?
I mean, I would pay my monthly subscription to Disney Plus just for the Star Wars content.
Right.
I'm
saying like you and I, we're companies and boards tend to move way slower than the public. Like think about how long stores were hanging on the DVDs when people really weren't buying them anymore, and then they just went away. Or VHS for that matter. Like DVD took a long time to get some traction.
Mm-hmm. So did Blu-ray.
Yeah. And Blu-ray almost missed the whole boat altogether.
Right. If I contribute the success of the PlayStation 3 to the success of Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of households had a PlayStation 3, but not a lot of people had a designated Blu-ray player.
Right. Well, when Blu-ray came out, I was debating, like, I want Star Wars on Blu-ray, but I don't have a Blu-ray player, but I watch everything streaming. And it was hard for me, Like, I think my Blu-ray player now is like $29.
Yep. My Blu-ray player is $500 because I use my PlayStation.
Well, and mine's a Sylvania, and I don't know if I told you guys. I think I told you guys this one night. I realized that all the lights at my school were Sylvania, the LEDs. With the remote of my Blu-ray, I can turn individual lights off in my classroom. And I showed some of my robotics kids that, and they were running around the school turning lights off. And then the next day, maintenance put a request in to get all these lights fixed. And I had to go around and fix them all and explain to the lady, why. I literally, they look like the old fluorescent lights in a picture of your old school classroom. I can literally point my remote at one light and it'll turn it, dim it, or turn it off just by hitting the power button.
You should have known that was going to happen when you showed a bunch of middle schoolers that you could turn all the lights off individually.
I know.
You're asking for trouble.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the back to being on topic. I think Disney Plus, because you think when they made all that stuff for Disney Plus, they didn't have a single subscriber yet. Like when they made The Mandalorian, and they're like, okay, now what else can we make? They were probably thinking, okay, so we got them for X amount of episodes. How can we keep them for a couple more months? Because I think the initial buy, you bought like a 2 or 3 year subscription, if I remember.
Well, depending on who you were. So the 3-year subscription was available to people who were willing to fork up that money all up front. And it was only for a limited time. You only had so much. That's another thing, how they encourage you to buy stuff. That illusionary sense of scarcity. You can only get this for a limited time.
I was one of those fools that bought it because I was like, I know, no matter how much it is, once this runs out, I'm going to still subscribe. Like, so why not get the cheapest price I possibly can?
You betcha.
Yeah, I was having that conversation with my dad the other day, because he got a Fire Stick, and he's never used it, or he's never used, like, other than our actual smart TV that we have, he really hasn't used like a Roku, a Fire Stick, or anything like that. And he's like, "Oh, can we cancel cable?" And we're running through. I'm like, "No, because then you'll have to subscribe to this, and this, and it'll be more than your cable bill." And I told him, like, the one, because I pay for a decent amount of our streaming services, and I was like, the one that I will never cancel is Disney Plus. And he's like, "Oh yeah, no, because I'll use it just for Star Wars."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I then had to break it to him. It's like, well, unless I switch from Verizon, Disney Plus isn't going anywhere because I get it through Verizon.
Right.
So
yeah, well, that's but that's what I'm saying. Like, I personally wish they would have a dedicated show for behind the scenes. Like, I wish it would almost be like a weekly show that would ever come out, and have like a host, and then that host has access to the Marvel show, has that access, you know what I mean? Like, so every week on Wednesday you get a galleries of whatever it is.
Well, that used to be the Star Wars show.
Right.
And it was on YouTube. I don't remember which day it came out, but it was a weekly thing.
Yep.
And it was Andy Gutierrez and Anthony Carboni.
Yep.
They did it for quite a while, and they still have a sort of kind of Star Wars show with Kristen Baver, I think is her name.
Yes.
Um,
We met her at in London.
Yeah, she's a wonderful author. She's the one that helped put together 100 Star Wars book, 100 Objects. But yeah, that would be a great thing to put on Disney Plus, and then it would be unending content.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also like the one thing I like about hosts, and maybe it's why I like podcasting so much, is you get to learn the host, and then you decide if the way they like stuff, you can critique if it's good or not. Like it's when I was a kid, you had different movie critics, and you knew the ones that you kind of agreed with. So if they said they liked a certain movie, you're like, oh, I'll probably like that one too. You know, and when you get someone with their excitement and stuff like that.
And one of the things I loved about the Star Wars show is, to your point about the behind the scenes, they would have like a 3 minute thing with Pablo Hidalgo, or 5 minutes with D. Bradley Baker, or one of the artists. They even did little skits with Chopper and things like that. So it was fun, it was creative, and it was all Star Wars. And they could do something very similar with Marvel. They could do something very similar with the other Disney things that are out there, whether it's the Little Mermaid or what have you.
Yeah. Yeah, they had Radu on the Star Wars show, the guy who helped make the costumes for Battlefront 2, because they played paintball or something like that.
Now, speaking of Disney Plus, it's not really Star Wars related, but it is Lucasfilm. All the Indiana Jones movies are on there now.
Yep.
And some young Indiana Jones adventures.
Yep.
Did you guys see the featurette they did for Dial of Destiny? That's on Disney Plus.
I did not, but I'll probably watch tomorrow because we're going tomorrow at 9 to see it.
I have been forced to wait until Sunday, and I'm not happy about it.
You should divorce your parents right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so Mike, the reason I ask you is because what they show in the featurette, because it's like a two-parter. It's a lot of it's like, here's how we got to where we're at, and then here's a sneak peek. The sneak peek is a fraction of what we saw at Celebration.
Oh man, that makes me think of Celebration, because man, that chase scene was on point, man.
It was so Indiana Jones too.
Oh, and you know what? I think what I liked, at least when I saw, they let Harrison Ford be Indiana Jones, but he's not doing, because he's older, but he's not doing anything. Like, you're not like thinking, yeah, I don't think 80-year-old Indiana Jones could do that. But 80, you know what I mean? It's believable.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, that's the fun thing about Indiana Jones. There's like none of it in Raiders, Temple, or Crusade. None of it's like, okay, you never stop yourself and be like, he could never do that. You just kind of chalk it up to, that's Indiana Jones.
They survived a raft out of an airplane. You know,
nuclear blast in a refrigerator.
Yeah, and
which I have to say, because I've been rewatching all of them, and I'm finally on Crystal Skull.
Yeah,
I don't care what anyone says. I love that movie. I understand it is objectively a bad movie. I love it.
Well, the bad is a label I find interesting. It's meant. I think it's meant to be a comic book come to life.
Yeah.
And if you can put it on a page of a comic book, you can put it on the screen for Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And have you noticed on Disney Plus how good it looks?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's in ultra high def 4K or whatever, and it's like the scene at the beginning of The Last Crusade when they're going through the desert or whatever.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. The red rocks and the blue sky, just gorgeous.
Missy and I went to The Last Crusade opening night because they were giving out free posters, and I had that poster probably till a couple years ago, and I think I gave it to somebody.
Yeah, unpopular opinion. I hadn't seen The Last Crusade in a very long time until a couple days ago. I still cannot get through the first the opening scene with
Really?
young Indiana Jones. And I was having a conversation with my dad about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I usually just skip to when he's on the boat."
Why is that?
I don't know. It's one of those things where it like seeing it through adult eyes now. I'm like, okay, this is much better than
Yeah.
because like I swear I was probably 11 years old the last time I saw The Last Crusade in its entirety. Because a lot of the times when I went back to watch it, it was okay. I just want to see when they're at Alex. Oh my god, my brain just shut off.
That
Alex
place.
Alexandretta, where they actually go through the gauntlet of the Holy Grail. That scene, I like the last act of that movie a lot, but I just never went back and watched it in its entirety for some reason.
I
But-
just think that was one of those first prequel movies that they wanted to just give a lot of. Now they would call it fan service, but they were just trying to just like connect them in a fun way. You know how he got his scar and all that kind of stuff. They were just trying to put the lore together.
Right.
Yeah, River Phoenix, and I think
I know. It honestly, I think it's just me. I think it's one of those things where it's like I can't get that thought out of my head from when I was a kid. It's like, well, why do we need to see this? Like, what point does this serve? So,
Yeah.
'cause I feel like when I was a kid, I just didn't get it.
Well, what point does it, as someone who's now double the age when you first saw it, what point do you think it serves, or points do you think they serve?
Fleshing out his backstory. Seeing how he got to be, Indiana Jones, and seeing that even at like a young age, he was still like, oh, it belongs in a museum.
Well, and I also think that's back. You got to remember, we didn't have streaming service, and we barely had cable. I forget when that movie came out.
89.
89. So cable was still like, I still knew just as many people that didn't have cable as had cable, and yet VHS. And I think it was fan service to the people that saw the first two, but it was also a way to make people maybe want to go back and see the first two.
Mhm.
Because they're like, why is that such a big deal? Like if you're sitting there, because Missy I don't think Missy had seen the first two. And I explained to her, oh, that's, Harrison Ford has a scar on his chin. So they, kind of, so I don't know.
And from a movie perspective, it helps build out that relationship between him and his father.
Yeah.
Which has the ultimate payoff at the end.
And I found with Indiana Jones movies, though, you're always smiling more than you realize. Even the parts that someone, like all of them, even the Crystal Skull, which I know got a lot of hate. I thought this Crystal Skull was fun. I mean, it wasn't my favorite. My favorite's still the first one. When I was younger, I really liked Temple of Doom, but the first one to me is just so much. It's so grandiose,
And then one of the other beautiful things about those first three was that teamwork with Steven and George to bring them together.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think any other duo could have made the movies like the two of them made.
Oh yeah, and the Star Wars Insider and Fan Magazine, it was half Indiana Jones stuff, with a little bit of Willow popping in there for a little while.
Yep.
But the Indiana Jones stuff, really. And when I went to meet Harrison Ford, when I met him and lost his autograph and all that, my friend wore his Indiana Jones hat. And I don't know if he got it signed or whatever. But when we both went in, no, I just
And speaking of Willow, Bryce Dallas Howard, she was a big, I wouldn't say a main component, but she was a big component in this latest episode of The Gallery. And it's so funny to hear her talk about, being so young when some of these movies were made, and she's now part of Lucasfilm. She's part of the legacy team now.
yeah. I mean, her dad was in American Graffiti.
Well, she went to a meeting with her dad and George Lucas and Akira Kurosawa when she was a kid. She fell asleep in the restaurant while the adults were talking. So she's been in that circle ever since she was a little one, and now she's involved in helping the new directors and the new players, the new makers make Star Wars. And that's another thing, where I was saying that I feel like the gallery could have been longer. They had at least two, was it 2 or 3 new directors for season 3? Maybe it was just 2. Um, that they could have broadened what they talked about with them, but knowing that the Mandalorian continues to bring new makers on that have done great Star Wars stuff, so who knows what other things, what other projects they could be involved in, because look what they did with Deborah Chow. They gave her an entire series to go and do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I will say this about the gallery. It definitely gives me a deeper appreciation for the episodes that I may or may not have, been thoroughly invested in when they came out. Like the episode 6, like seeing the behind the scenes of like, oh, Jon Favreau wrote Bombardier, the Jack Black's character, specifically wrote that for him, and seeing him like totally like fanboy out over the character that you'd never seen the character before.
Right. Right.
So I don't remember his name, but the gentleman who directed the 3rd episode, or no, did the 4th episode? No, it was the 3rd episode. Whichever the one with why am I blanking on his name? I remember Elia Kane, the one on Coruscant.
Which one?
Where it's the reform.
Oh yeah. Where they go see the tip.
Dr. Pershing?
That's it.
That's it.
But yeah, seeing some of the behind the scenes for that episode too, I was like, wow, I can't believe I disliked this at one point. So it just, I feel like the gallery brings so much more to like the dedicated fans, and I wish everyone had that same feeling about it,
and the willingness to see it differently or fresh each time. I mean, one of the benefits that we've had is with the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and the stuff, before the Disney purchase, is we've had years and years and years and years to watch it over and over again. Where this new stuff, unfortunately, I think in some ways we've gotten spoiled, where we'll watch something one time through, and then we're on to the next thing, and we'll watch that one time through, and then we're on to the next thing, where we haven't taken that time to go back and rewatch some of this to look for those little nuggets of connection, or to see the creativity, or to look behind the curtain to say, oh, that actor was also in this, or this maker also did that other thing that I like. And the gallery does plant those seeds for us to take up and grow our appreciation in different ways.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about that last night. I realized I haven't gone back and watched Andor other than the Prison Break episode, and it's one of those things where you're like you said, Ken, like there's so much that it's hard to find the time to go back and rewatch what's already come out.
Yeah. No, yeah, that, I mean, and there for a while we had the cartoons coming out.
Well,
Sorry, I hit the wrong key. We had the cartoons coming out. We had all that kind of stuff coming out at the same time. Oh yeah, Bryce being. Yeah.
You got to watch the gallery to understand that, Mike.
Yeah,
I will. Well, I remember her from. Oh, was it M. Night Shyamalan's movie? Was she in the one where they were in the little town out in the middle of the woods?
The Village.
The Village. Was she in The Village?
I'm not sure.
I'm not the biggest M. Night fan, so I'm not sure.
There's only a handful of his I like, but I think it's The Village. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah,
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
She was Ivy Walker.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean we have what 2 months, less than 2 months for
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, which means I have less than 2 months to get this Sabine costume finished.
Well,
Johnny,
we've only got like 3 minutes left of this episode, so
Okay.
after we hang up, you can get working on that costume.
right? Well, so Ken, what do you? So we have. Let's pick a topic again. We'll pick a better topic and we'll do our homework. Let me. I'm gonna go grab a different stack of books though.
Okay.
Hang on, you guys yap on.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one that didn't do the homework.
Yeah, I think any of us did.
What is
that's
what is
question.
Safi up to lately? Well, from what Mike said, I think last episode that he and Safi might be starting a podcast together. Isn't that what he was saying for KaritaCast?
I think we were talking about that off air, but yeah,
Oh,
I don't remember anytime we get together, all the time blends together.
was that last week or was that before we started?
Looks like he brought a lot of books.
I will say that I did attempt to find information about that in the latest Star Wars book called, not latest, but one of the latest ones called Timelines.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have all the details, I didn't even know where to start. So never mind.
That was my fault. Okay, 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 to 9. Sorry.
Ken, I'll leave this one up to you.
We'll go with Lucky 7.
All right. This one I haven't even opened. This is lightsabers and Jedi equipment.
Oh,
Oh God, this could be horribly. We could be doing one on the ladies' razor.
The communicator.
are we gonna get a veto this time, or
If Kevin will get the veto.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. Well, or if E-Girl's still around, they both can let us know if it's the appropriate topic.
Oh wait a minute, let me see. Oh yeah, Kevin about Safi, you do Star Wars Geek Girl. I would love to get her to do Star Wars Geek Girl with Zoe, but right now Zoe's working like 7.5 days a week. All right. I need numbers 1 to 72.
you know? I feel like we should go with 66 again. Give it another try. I don't like where this is going.
It's a communicator.
No, it's
It's a hollow projector.
hollow projector.
That could work. I've got information on the hollow projector.
You want to try for a second, and then we'll 2.
Well, yeah, let's pick between the two. Let's go 44.
The year that George Lucas was born.
44. Oh, 46 is Kenobi's. 44. Mace Windu's combat style.
Can we broaden that to Mace Windu?
Just Mace Windu. Mace Windu. So we can do a hollow projector or Mace Windu. I think that's a pretty easy choice.
Well, you can expand on his fighting style to his upbringing and how he developed into choosing that fighting style and how he used that style in Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. It's called the no hand fighting style. Hands free.
Yeah, no snakes on the plane
Yes.
style.
All right, cool. Okay, we'll do him. Let me do the exit and then we'll say bye. So
Thanks for joining us, Kevin and E-Girl. It was good seeing you.
I will talk to Safi and see if I can get her on Star Wars Geek Girl. We have other plans too for her too, but you get to see Kevin, since you stayed for the whole time, you get to see her exit. If I remember how to do this. All right, make sure I get the right one.
attention to the wind. I had no reason to be carefree. No, no, no. Until I took a trip to the treetop side of town. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I heard that wicked rhythm. Hey, I had no choice but to get down.